And it's a real problem, and it's a growing problem all across the United States,
Yeah,
right?
it's a lot more common than people think. Body brokering also comes in the form of privileges. So, like, you get to stay in the room with your partner. You get to
If you stay in this
if you
sober
stay in this sober
home,
living,
right? And if you continue going to our
right.
treatments, or
Some people get their own room. If you have really good insurance, they'll give you your own room. They'll say, nobody bother you.
right.
My name is Sequoyah Thiessen. I'm a descendant of the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa Indians. So I grew up in Montana.
So I first met you when I was reporting on an episode of my show, my Nat Geo show called Trafficked. The episode was called The Great American Rehabs Camp. It's such a convoluted name that sometimes I even forget what the name of the episode was. But essentially, it was about the fraudulent addiction treatment centers that are out there that have created like almost a black market for the buying and selling of people, some of the most vulnerable people in our society, which are people that are dealing with addiction, which at the time were people like you. You got caught up in this crazy net and this crazy black market where you were sort of openly sold. I was really fascinated by your story. And so I wanted to have you on the podcast so you could share with us. First of all, I think we'd start with, how did you get caught up in all of this?
So it's really crazy to look back on it now because I really just wanted to go to rehab and I really wasn't expecting it to be everything that it was.
Why did you want to go to rehab? How did it start for you?
I guess it probably started all the way back in like high school because I had like a really hard home life and I ended up going to the psych ward a couple of times, but I really wasn't able to share with them like what was really going on in my home life because I had this really overbearing dad that was like controlling everything that I did.
And what was your childhood like, if you don't mind sharing that with us?
My childhood was normal, but it was also marked by like my dad getting in and out of prison, so it was like abandonment issues and
Did he have addiction problems as well?
yeah,
Mhm.
with like alcohol. And it was more so like a binge drinking thing where like he wouldn't drink every day, but it was like when he did drink, it was very like he would usually go to jail. Um
Was he abusive?
yes. Yeah,
Mhm.
he was very physical and he was just very strict. Like I remember playing like every single sport and having to watch back my sport videos.
Mhm.
That's kind of like where I get a lot of my discipline from.
Mhm.
Like I'm a very hard worker. I consider myself a workaholic.
But he would make you watch those videos?
Yeah, he would make me watch them back to just say like what did I did wrong or what could
Mhm.
we do better.
Did you have brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I'm the oldest of 4 siblings now.
Mhm.
So I have a brother, I have 2 sisters, and then I also have a
Mhm.
stepbrother
Mhm.
now.
And so you lived at home until how old? Until what age?
Until I was, I think, 20 something.
Mhm.
But I ended up calling the police on my dad and getting him out of our house at like 17. After my 3rd time in the psych ward, I was like, I cannot deal with you anymore. You're driving me crazy.
Why were you institutionalized?
I was depressed. I was very like, I had a lot of violent thoughts,
Mhm.
myself, others. And I didn't realize that that was like a symptom.
Mhm.
I didn't realize that wanting to hurt yourself is a symptom, but also wanting to hurt other people and be mad at other people and take it out on other people is a symptom. So
How old were you when this happened?
I was 16.
Mhm.
I was 16.
So your
I
parents sent you to a psych ward?
Yeah, I spent my sweet 16 there.
Huh. Because what was there something actually that happened that made them send you there?
I just wanted to go.
Or you asked to
Yeah,
go?
I
Okay.
asked to go because I was so tired of my dad. I couldn't deal with him anymore.
Mhm.
And so by the time he did leave at 17, like a lot of damage had already been done.
Mhm.
And so that's kind of when I started doing like opiates. Just
Mhm.
he left the house. My mom's house like was like a free for all.
Mhm.
Like after he left, like my mom is not strict at all. So it went from being really strict to being like not strict at all. And then I ended up in a relationship with somebody that was much older than me, and that's how I got into opiates.
What was your first opiate you tried?
I want to say morphine.
Wow, straight to morphine.
Straight to morphine, yeah.
Did you inject it?
I
Or how did you take it?
I think I just took it, like the pills.
Oh, okay, morphine pill, okay.
Yeah, and it was my friend, and I remember my friend being, like, weirded out at me and him being like, "I'm not gonna give you any more of this, like, you're kind of like you like it, like, too much."
Huh.
And it was before I ever even really got so into it,
Mhm.
but,
And at this point, I imagine you'd smoked weed before or done other drugs, or
Yeah.
this okay.
Yeah, I actually in Montana, it's pretty common to start drinking, like, really young. Like,
Mhm.
as soon as you're alone and you can get access to alcohol, you're probably drinking if
Mhm.
you're Native American.
And so you'd been drinking since how old?
Like 10.
Wow.
Like, was when I had my first drink. Yeah.
Huh.
And I wouldn't say routinely drinking,
Mhm.
But that was when I had my first drink and I was like, okay, this is like a thing that people do.
Did you like what
I
it
did.
did to you?
I did. I feel like I've always like had so much weight on my shoulders that it made me feel lighter, it made me feel happier, more confident, like everything that everyone says, like
Right.
all those things.
And then fast forward to the first opiates that you tried.
Yes, that was like I think that was I was like 15, 16. So I was kind of in and out of the psych ward for like a year or two. I had spent like I think total like 4 months there total. And they ended up kicking me out because they didn't know what was wrong with me. They actually said that I was too crazy for them. Like they didn't know what to do with me.
Did they
But
diagnose you with anything?
not really.
Huh.
Like I think they said I was bipolar, but they really diagnose every woman with that. So I side eye that a little bit, you know? But yeah, I didn't go to rehab until I was 22. So from like 17, getting out of the psych ward, being kicked out, actually, that was like 4 years or something.
Until you were 22 when you entered rehab, were you addicted to opiates at that point?
I wasn't addicted to opiates the whole time. Probably the last 2 years it got really bad. Like after COVID, like 2020, after COVID, it got super bad.
What were you doing?
Fentanyl, like the blue pills, the blues, which was supposed to be oxy. But looking back, now that I know like what fentanyl tastes like and everything, that was not ever oxy. That was always fentanyl.
That was always fentanyl. Yeah, I
Yes.
was in a
And
lab.
filler shit, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I was in a lab in Sinaloa in Mexico where I watched these being pressed. It's the blue
Yes.
pills. They're being sold as if they're M30 pills, but in fact it's actually fentanyl. And
Yeah. Back then I didn't even know that fentanyl was a thing. Like I was so naive, and then I guess I realized it like when I was doing it. I was also
how, if you don't mind me asking, how were you using it? Were you crushing them or how was
I
it?
always snorted them.
So you crushed and
Yeah.
snorted.
Yeah, I didn't like to smoke it. I feel like that's disgusting. They stink so bad when you do that. Some people like that.
How much were you doing at the peak of your addiction?
Probably like 3 or 4 pills a day, which honestly isn't really that much. Looking back, like there were people who I knew that did like 20 like a day.
Wow.
And if I had a bunch, I might do more. But for the most part, because I was a teacher, I was an educator since I was 18. I really didn't use this stuff to get high. I really just used it to like get through the day. I had really bad chronic pain. I still do. You know, I honestly didn't even use it at work either.
What teaching were you doing at that time?
So I started out at Head Start. And
What's that?
Head Start is like a federal program, and it's like a preschool. So it's like has a really strict curriculum. They teach them a second language, fine gross motor skills, but also like regular gross motor skills.
Did you like it? Did you like kids?
I loved it.
Oh, that's so great.
I really loved that job. Like I could go to that job and just forget about everything.
And this was in Montana, right? And you didn't need to college to you decided you didn't want to go to college.
At this time I hadn't gone to college, but I had received like a lot of job training. I had went to night school, which through Head Start, they give you like a night school thing that's like equivalent to an associate's degree. So you go to work during the day, at night you go to night school, and then you earn like what's equal to an associate's degree in child development.
That's great. Okay, so at one point you were crushing 4 of these pills a day, and you would say that was the height of your addiction, and you were still living in Montana with your mom?
Yeah, no, I had my own place. I moved out of my mom's house when I was like, I think I was 20. I think I turned 21 outside of her house during COVID, but me and her just didn't agree on a lot of things. I was a little bit too wild. She wanted her house to be really calm and chill, so I ended up moving with that man who had groomed me, and obviously I'm a lesbian now, so hindsight, this is crazy. But I moved in with him for not even a month. I couldn't stand living with a man.
And this is the older man that you mentioned. So how did you meet him and what was that relationship like?
I think I met him on like Tinder when I was like 16 or something.
How old was he?
He was like 26, 27, like a real creep. And I think during that time, like I had a lot of daddy issues. And so like I would confuse wanting attention from my dad with like wanting attention from older men, but it never worked. Like it never like gave you what you wanted. Like you ended up just being creeped out or feeling weird.
So, and he was the one who introduced you to opiates.
Actually he forced me into doing opiates with him.
How so?
Night. Because we were hanging out one night and I vividly remember him starting to crush up his little blue pill or whatever. And he's like, okay, well, you should do this with me so we can have like a fun night. And I was like, I don't want to do that. Like a lot of people in my family have serious issues with opiates. Like one thing I remember when I was a child was some of my family members robbing my grandparents for opiates.
Oh.
And it was a big deal in our family. It was like a big breach of trust. I was like a kid and I had known about it. Like that's how much people talked about it. And like, I knew like the stigma behind or the things that you might resort to, I guess, like when you do drugs
hmm
like that. So I really wasn't into it. Even though I had done opiates before, I really wasn't that into it. I was like, whatever. But he kind of just pressured me, and I'm really not that easy to be pressured, but it was kind of like a harsh thing. And then I did it. And then after that, I was like, I did not need to be convinced anymore. In the beginning, it's very like, you have a lot of energy.
Hmm.
Like I would clean my house.
That's not usually what people associate with opiates at all. It's a
Right.
downer. So people think that, yes.
It's weird. It's weird, huh? Like I would be able to clean my house, but I also wouldn't take a lot. I would just take the littlest amount that you possibly could, and I'm not trying to separate myself from addicts or anything, but I think that's why this scheme affected me differently than it affects some people. Because when I went, I wasn't like at rock bottom, like how other people perceive as
Right.
their rock bottom. Like
Right.
there's this idea that when you're a drug addict, you're at rock bottom, you have no job
hmm
and like you have no friends and you have no family or you're like not successful.
And you had all those things. You had a job, you had a family, obviously, and
House, yeah.
you were perfectly able to still go about your life, even though you were crushing pills and snorting.
Yeah, it was mostly the relationships
Mhm.
that were falling apart.
Mhm. And so how did you find out about these rehab facilities in the first place?
So,
And they were here. So you're living in Montana and you find out that there's some rehab facilities or treatment centers in California, right?
yeah.
And how did you hear about them and what attracted you to them?
So I think I always knew that you could go to rehab in Florida.
hmm
And so that was like in the back of my mind. It wasn't even something I wanted to do. But when I started discussing like, okay, you need to go to rehab, I really wanted to move to LA anyway. That was like my dream. I was like, oh, I really want to live in LA. It's like go to school here, all that. But I knew that my drug addiction wasn't sustainable. Like I knew like, okay, Sequoyah, you cannot move to LA when you're like doing drugs, like you have to get clean. And so I tried to go to a local place that's near me, like an outpatient, because I figured, okay, I had detoxed myself a lot of times at
hmm
this point. So I wasn't really attached to the idea of going to a detox even really. I was just like, let me just get through this. And then I was more worried about seeking help that like I could talk about someone with
hmm
it. Okay, so actually, this is a whole story.
Hmm.
I got across the street from my house, there was a hospital. So I figured, okay, let me just go to this hospital across the street from my house. And so I go over there and I'm wearing like, it's the middle of summer because I was off break from being a teacher. So I was really trying to get this handled like right away. And so it was like early summer, I think July, like the middle of summer. And it was hot. So I was wearing a little tank top and the woman in the group, I just go and I sit down. It's a group. It's like a free whatever. And the woman is like, excuse me, like you need to pull up your shirt. And she's like a therapist. And I'm like, what the hell is your issue? Like, why are you caring about my shirt right now? Like, I'm literally in active addiction. And the whole room, it's like all men. So it was very awkward. Like, I was put into a really weird position. And then I cussed her out because I was like, I was just irritated. Like, anybody could get cussed out when I was on opiates. Anybody could get cussed out. I was always irritated. I still am like that today a little bit, but much so more back then. And so I kind of just flipped out on her and I left the room. And then my therapist, who was at that office, was like, hey, do you want to have a session real quick? Because of course they want to bill you for that session. Like even going all the way back to that, I can see the pattern. Like even in my book, this is how the pattern starts.
hmm
Because that woman was supposed to take care of me in the room. She was supposed to be a safe person. Yet she attacked me, she dehumanized me, and she denied me care. Basically, right? And then I walk out and then there's another woman ready to play savior being like, oh, what happened? That's the whole cycle of rehab.
hmm
That's it. And I had experienced it before I had even came out here
hmm
to LA, which is
Interesting.
crazy.
Huh. And so the woman who was outside sat you down, you guys talked,
And that's who showed me.
and she started looking up and saw, and she told you, "Oh, actually, there's some rehab facilities that are really good in California."
And at this time, I really didn't know that there was a bunch of rehabs in LA. I knew there was a few, but I had no idea that it was the hot spot that it was. I
Right.
really did.
Southern California is known as the Rehab Riviera, as you now know. Yeah.
Now I know that, but
Yeah.
at the
There
time,
are thousands and thousands of
at the
these
time, I
treatment
just
centers.
thought it was like a couple celebrity rehabs,
Right.
and that's what I thought.
Mhm.
Like that was my vision of it, right? I was like, oh, okay, well, I have good insurance, so I can go to one of these good places, and that's what she had
Mhm.
kind of told me.
And interestingly, you have good. I remember you telling me this, but you have had good insurance because of you had insurance through your mom, right?
Yeah, good insurance, but it also wasn't that good. Like it was kind of mid. They would take my ex-girlfriend's insurance, but they would be like weird about mine. Like they'd be like, yeah, she has a Blue Cross, but it's like from Montana.
Huh.
So, like, depending on the state, it's ranked differently.
Huh. Okay, so yours was considered mid.
Yeah.
When did you realize that was, oh, yeah, I guess
It
let's
was
walk
considered
through the steps.
higher. It was like, it depended on the place.
Right.
Yep.
Which you later found out was actually very important, right? Because they put a lot of importance on what kind of insurance you
Yeah,
have.
that's everything.
Right. And so, but before we get there, so you're there, so they tell you there's these rehab centers, and then what happened? This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. I'm going to be honest, I don't love this time of the year, when it starts to get cold and the days get shorter, when it's dark at like 5 p.m., and I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels this way. One thing that helps me get through this period is reaching out to people I love. I call, I text, I plan hikes and dinners and drinks and any excuse to talk to people, to see people, to feel connected. I think it's a way to remind myself that I'm not alone. That's what therapy can offer too. A structured check-in, and in this case, with someone trained to help. BetterHelp works with fully licensed U.S. therapists. They match you after a short questionnaire, and because they have 12-plus years of experience, they typically get it right the first time. But even if the fit isn't perfect, you can switch anytime. With more than 30,000 therapists and over 5 million people served, BetterHelp is one of the world's largest online therapy platforms. And it works, with an average rating of 4.9 out of 5 for a live session based on over 1.7 million client reviews. This month, don't wait to connect. Whether you're checking in on a friend or reaching out to a therapist yourself, BetterHelp makes it easier to take that first step. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/Mariana. That's betterhelp.com/Mariana.
So I kind of was like, okay, well, she was kind of really telling me, like, you need to go to detox. Like, you don't have a choice. You should detox. And then kind of immediately I was like, okay, like, my mind just shifted. She started telling me, yeah, like, you'll go to sober living and then you'll go to you'll go to detox and then sober living, and they'll help you, like, get a place and stuff. And that's literally how she, like, because that makes sense. You know, you go through treatment, they help you get a job, and they make sure that you're on your way. It's nothing of the sort.
What happened when you arrived in California? So then you fly out here by yourself?
Yeah, I did. It was like really quick. We call this guy, his name is Casey from Refined Recovery, and I'm saying his name because he's legit.
Okay.
Like, he's actually probably one of the only legit people out there. And he told me that. He was like, Sequoyah, there's a lot of people that are crazy and they just want money, and so you're going to a really good place. Like, I'm like, he was kind of like anxious, not like in the body broker way where he wanted me to come to his place, but he was definitely trying to tell me what was going on and put me on game without giving me the information, like, oh, you can go to this place and get paid. Because there are people who say that they're against body brokering.
So explain what body brokering is, because most people don't know what it is.
So body brokering is when you pay a client to come to your facility, or you bribe them with things. Like, you say, we'll buy you a new wardrobe, we'll buy you this, we'll buy you that.
We'll offer you free housing.
Free housing, yeah. That's body brokering. Offering you a job, making you live there and be a client, that's body brokering. It encompasses so many different things.
Right.
I think people think that it's just getting paid, but it's so much more than that.
So yeah, it's basically giving you an incentive to stay in this place. Sometimes it's free housing or free clothing, like you said. Sometimes it's actual just money.
Yeah.
And offering an incentive to come and stay at this place so that you can then go into these treatment centers where they can provide you treatment, or sometimes bogus treatment, and bill your insurance for thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yep.
And the problem with some of these fraud centers or fraud addiction treatment centers is that they're actually not providing the service or the treatment that they are supposed to be providing. And these are some of the most vulnerable people in our country, and it's a real problem, and it's a growing problem all across the United States, right?
Yeah. It's a lot more common than people think. Body brokering also comes in the form of privileges. So, like, you get to stay in the room with your partner. You get to
if you stay in this
if you
sober
stay in this sober
home,
living,
right? And if you continue going to our treatments, or
some people get their own room. If you have really good insurance, they'll give you your own room. They'll say, you know, nobody bother you.
right. So this was my idea of what a sober home looks like and what treatment sort of looks like. I have never been to one of these before, but I have, reported extensively on the opioid crisis for many years. So my idea was that the best thing that can happen to any drug user is to end up in a sober home because these are clean facilities. Drugs are not allowed inside. You're staying there while, after you go through detox, obviously, you're staying in one of these and you're being taken out to a treatment center. These are two separate entities completely. And in these treatment centers, you're given the treatment that you so badly need that includes perhaps group therapy, individual therapy, anything that can help you deal with your addiction and get better, right?
Yeah.
And what was the reality? That was not actually what
The
your
group
experience.
therapy thing's making me giggle already because we never really had group therapy. It was like people would come and they would talk about stuff. Sometimes it would get so dark that the facilitator didn't even have the tools in their toolbox to like manage what we were talking about. And then other times it was so surface level that it was like ridiculous. I can't tell you how many meetings there was, Mariana, where they said, we're going to listen to a song that reminds you of your recovery. And then it was just an hour of listening to like Juice World.
And that was your group therapy.
Yeah.
That they were charging insurance thousands of dollars for you to be there and listening to a song.
Everyone just puts on their favorite Juice World song, essentially. That was what it
And that's
came
supposed
down
to help you deal with your addiction?
I guess. Like, these meetings, these groups, they're just to waste your time. Like, literally.
I heard some groups, one of the people that I spoke to, she was telling me, actually a couple of people that we spoke to while we were investigating this, told me that they were in group meetings on Zoom that had hundreds of people, like 400 people in a Zoom meeting.
Yes, I was dying at that too. It's not funny, but it is because sometimes you join and it's like 140 people. Sometimes you join and it's 3 people.
And so how are you expected to get any help if you have 140 people on a Zoom call?
It just becomes about the notes. Like they're not really worried about that. It just becomes a check off of your day.
Your day. But for them, it's 140 people that can charge insurance.
And it's a check off for them too, but also they're overworking their staff. So their staff has to write 140 notes on 140 people. It's like impossible. So the notes end up being like, Jack is happy today. Or it ends up being, BS. But sometimes it's very coordinated and the therapists are writing exactly what the owner wants. A lot of times in some of these places, that's not how it's going. It's just a machine that the therapists write what they want. Like, this is one of the things I'm leading up to. All these politicians always say, well, we want to fund the good treatment centers. That's BS. Because even the best treatment center is going to bill you until the last possible day, and then they're going to kick you to the curb. Everyone does that.
Oh, you mean the moment that they are not getting the money that they need from it? But that part I sort of understand, right? Because these are not charity organizations. Right. They're there to make a profit. They're there to make money. So if they think that your insurance isn't going to pay for you anymore, the government isn't going to pay for you anymore, then I'm sorry, you have to leave our facility because we cannot afford to house you or take care of you or treat you.
Yeah, I think it's frustrating for me who now works with the cities because the cities pay the price. They're the ones who have to deal with the homeless people on the street. They're the ones who have to get these people permanent housing. Once they are kicked on the street, then they mess up their sobriety. And a lot of times they pass away because they go out and they use again and then they die because their tolerance. That's why I don't agree with forced treatment. Because you're forcing people into treatment, they're going to use again and they're going to die as soon as they use.
Right. And you're saying basically that there should be sort of a system in place for when these people leave these rehab facilities. So
I think they should be legally obligated to offer you housing and stuff.
Right. Like a safety net.
Yeah.
Right. Of course. I mean, you just spent years, sometimes even decades in, living with addiction, without a job. Sometimes, a lot of times your family is not there for you anymore. So, yeah, you've been abandoned.
Yeah, that was what I was seeing a lot. A lot of people get pregnant in these schemes because they're being allowed to live with a boyfriend or a girlfriend. And there's no kind of there's no future planning going on. It's very much they take you into a mindset of living day by day. And they'll brainwash you into that too. If you start thinking too far ahead, if you start talking about school, oh, you need to focus on your sobriety. Oh, you're worried about other things. You're going to relapse. Like they start putting things in your head.
So what treatments were you given when you were some of these? First of all, how many treatment centers or rehab facilities were you at?
I was at a lot. In total, it could have been around 50. But I didn't stay at all of them, if that makes sense. Towards the end, the shuffle was getting so bad that me and my ex-girlfriend, we would go to a place and we would tour it. Like we would be like, okay, I'm not living here. Like this is horrible. But they're all horrible. Like we just got to a place where we were looking at all these sober livings, trying to find somewhere that was bearable. And it was just like, we'd go to one place and then it would just be disgusting. We'd go to another place, it'd be people overdosing. We'd go to another place, it'd be a bunch of people that we know are like doing bad things and we don't want to be in the house with them because it's like makes us a target.
So you visited about 50 or more.
We would move all of our stuff
Right.
physically, and then we would be like, we can't
We
stay
can't
here.
say, and then you'd move to another
Yeah.
one because there's tons of these out there
There's
that
so
you can
many.
go to.
There's so many.
And I remember you talking about this, but back to the idea that you and your ex-girlfriend had good insurance, so there would be more options for you guys out there, right?
Yeah.
And
even hers got burnt with what we call burnt after a while.
what does that mean?
It means that even if you have the best insurance, your insurance starts paying less and less, or they're less willing to pay. So they're going to fight every single entity more and more and more to say, does she really need this treatment? So they have to provide a lot more proof. And that was causing a lot of issues because a lot of these people who are entering this fraudulent stuff into the computer, they're not that smart. Like, they're not all criminal masterminds. There's a few of them that are, but that's why I really stress to the California Sober Living and Recovery Task Force. I'm like, these people aren't that smart and they're outsmarting you. So you need to think harder. You know what I mean? Like it's really just the fact that they have no oversight. Like, I don't know if you saw that one of the bills was basically just that DCHS has to email you back. When you make a complaint about a sober living. Like, and that's a serious complaint, like a murder, a death, a rape.
So they have to at least email you back to say that they received the email, the complaint. Yeah.
And that wasn't a rule before. That was only a rule like this year.
Wow. So you had no idea if anyone was even listening to you.
Yeah. And it would take them up to 8 years to complete an investigation about a death, a rape, or a murder.
Which is why we've gotten to the situation in which we're now. What were some of the most egregious examples that you saw of this fraudulent industry? Because I remember you telling me like crazy stuff. Tell us about what's liquid gold.
So liquid gold is your pee after you relapse. So they will tell you like, okay, you're going to have to go to detox. And then it always becomes a thing like, okay, I'm going to go to detox, so I have to relapse. Like, you have to like mentally prepare yourself.
But explain why. So basically what they're doing,
won't pay out if you don't.
You have to be tested, right?
Yes.
If you're staying in one of these, if you're going to one of these treatments, you have to be tested.
For detox specifically.
You're urine tested, right? And to make sure that you're clean or not. And if you're not clean, then you have to go back to detox.
Yeah.
And some of these providers actually wanted you to test dirty because they can make more money out of detox than just regular treatment after detox, correct?
Yeah, very common. I'm like, so many situations are going through my head right now.
Can you tell me, one of the things you told me at the time in some of these facilities is, we talked about liquid gold, but can you explain what, there were situations in which you were actually in a car with the house manager from the sober home, and that he was giving you weed, right? So that you would go to test dirty so they could then send you to detox and make money out of your insurance.
No, that was just a normal day. That was just a normal day.
What do you mean?
If they were going to send you to detox, they knew that you wanted your drug of choice. Like, when it was time to relapse, there was people who would just give you drugs.
And why would you want to detox? I mean, that's what's confusing to me, because I understand that if you're in a sober home and you're being tested, and then you're perhaps behind people's backs, have done drugs because you have a drug addiction, and then
honestly, you really don't want to.
That's what I'm trying to get at. Can you explain how that works?
You kind of just be put in, you get put into a position where you have to, and it's lots of different ways that you get put into that position. Sometimes you get drugged and they say, okay, you're testing positive, so you need to go, or you're not going to have anywhere to go.
Right. So that's not a case where they're giving you the drugs. That you actually take the drugs, they find out, and they send you to detox.
Yes.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is that happens in many different ways. So like this happened so many different times, so many different ways. Like, my ex-girlfriend had been drugged at certain points. Like,
had been drugged? What do you mean? Like, she was given drugs?
Yes. Like,
by whom?
By brokers.
By people in the rehab facilities that stand to make money?
No. It's never the people in the rehab facility.
Okay.
It's people outside of it who are marketers.
Right. The body brokers.
If you were to go into a rehab that pays people and say, oh, you guys pay people, every single person would play stupid with you. In fact, some of them might not even know.
So they pay people to pay people.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. That's what a marketer or a body broker.
And I know this happens because when we were doing this story, we also reported in Arizona, and we interviewed
it depends
on a whistleblower who told us he was being paid $200 for every person he brought into the treatment center.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, like, for example, when I got sent to that place, I knew it was a woman at the treatment center who did it. I knew it was a woman at the treatment center who was getting paid off me. So sometimes it's somebody in the treatment center, but most of the time it's somebody outside of it. Like the way that my ex did it, she did it in a weird way where nobody even assumed that she was a broker.
Your ex, you're saying, would actually go out there and recruit people and was being paid for it.
Yeah, but she had kind of made it into just like a normal thing that she did. Like we would go places and she'd be like, "What's up, man? Like, where are you from?" Like, and she would chat it up with every single person there. She would get their Facebook, she would get their Instagram, she would get their phone number. And she would basically portray herself as like, "Oh, I know the name of the game. Like, I'll put you on game. I know everything. Like, I know the good places to go. I know the bad places," which is a broker.
Right. And then once she would bring these people to these centers, to these treatment centers, what would happen? How much money was she paid? Do you know?
Probably, it depended on the person and their insurance, because that's part of the sick part is like some people are literally worth less because their insurance isn't as good. But probably anywhere from like 800 to like 1,500 to 2,000 per person.
Per person.
And depending on how long they stayed or if it was detox or.
And of course, this is completely illegal. This is not allowed. This is a kickback. Basically, you're paying people to come and stay so you can profit out of their insurance.
And this is where it becomes true brokering, because it's not just, if I'm a broker, I don't just work with this facility. No, why would I just work with this facility? Because there's going to be clients that come to me and say, I'm not going to that facility because I've already been there. So you have to work with a lot of them.
So it's basically what you're saying. That's why it's called the rehab shuffle, right? Because you're having the same sort of group of people being shuffled around these different centers, these different detox. Everybody knows each other. And the owners are making a lot of money on the backs of, again, some of the most vulnerable people in our society, right?
Yep.
And you were one of them.
Yes. Yeah. I really even felt like they try really hard to make sure that it's like under wraps as well. Like everyone knows that it's illegal, but it's like you almost exist in this weird dimension where you believe that even if you were to go tell people, nobody really cares. Like you're really taught that just based off
that you don't matter.
That you don't matter. Yeah. Like, and then it kind of sends a message. You start twisting your mind, because my ex really believed that she was helping these people. Because she would get them off of the street. Like they would call her and be like, "I'm on the street, like I need to go somewhere," and she would get them somewhere, and so she felt good about that. But after a while, I was just like, I couldn't witness her doing it anymore, because it takes over one's life. Like this is something that people don't talk about very often. Brokers can't stay sober because their entire life their phone is ringing off the hook all day long. Literally all day long. It's like they're the American Addiction Center.
From people who want to get into these rehab facilities and are trying to figure out where to go.
Yep.
So yeah, it's interesting because it's almost like it's like a consultant in the black market. It's like an illegal consultant, right? They're the ones who know all the rehab facilities, know where to send people, but they're also getting illegal kickbacks from these facilities to take people there.
Yeah.
And I think
it's referral only.
Right. And why it's important to understand why this is bad is because you're profiting, you're exploiting your patients through the value of their insurance, right? And in many cases, actually not offering people the treatment that they so badly need.
Yeah. Your health is a threat to them, actually.
Right.
They don't
right. Because if you get better, they're going to stop making money from you. So they actually want you to stay in the loop, to stay in the shuffle.
Yeah. That's why I couldn't like deal with it, because I was like, it was only a year that I was in it, right? So that whole like 6 months before, I was at legit places, like quote unquote. None of them were legit. None of them helped me. They just moved me around, shuffled me around, charged my insurance. Actually, by the time I went to all the fraudulent facilities, my insurance was burned. Like, so I didn't even.
So your insurance wasn't even paying for it.
No, I never even really got paid.
So what is the solution? Like, if you're struggling with addiction and you actually do need to go to treatment, where do you go?
I think that we should,
because I'm sure I know there have to be. We interviewed an insurance fraud, somebody in the California insurance fraud department.
Oh,
head of Vlad. Oh. He was great. I love him.
Yeah, he's
and what his estimate, which he even said is probably a low estimate, was that there are thousands of these rehab facilities throughout California, and his estimate is that about 10% of them are fraudulent.
I think it's more.
But he thinks, it's a low number. But I'm sure there's a lot of great rehab centers out there. So what do we do? I mean, you went through so many. I mean, there has to be some that you thought, okay, they're actually offering treatment. Maybe the treatment wasn't helping you, but they're offering treatment. They're offering group therapy that's actually valuable. They have therapists.
Places like that. But the oxymoron is that it's still just about your money. Because it's all,
Right.
when you're at a place that's providing you kickboxers, yoga, that was the first place I went to. They're charging you a lot of money a day.
They're offering
stuff.
what's kickboxers like?
Like just, professional kickboxing, like,
Oh, classes. Okay,
like
sorry.
classes, like
I thought they were offering you the men.
Oh no, I'm dead. No, like, it was like the first place I went was very bougie. He had really good therapists.
Okay.
But money still has to go to that stuff, So it's like, it kind of just becomes a thing of like, okay, here's two business models. One of them is just pocketing all the money. The other one is paying all their staff. They honestly have the same outcome.
Right.
Because the insurance runs out,
Right.
and then the person gets kicked to the curb. So even if you did get good treatment, like, not saying that doesn't mean anything. Like, obviously, I had really good therapists at some of these places that really pushed my mindset forward permanently. But my solution, and I'm very radical, I think that we need free healthcare in California in general.
Right. I mean, I would say that this is the problem with healthcare in general in this country, is that it's privatized.
Yeah, that's like my biggest thing, is that the healthcare should be free. But I think that my work on the Sober Living and Recovery Task Force, like things that I'm working towards there that I advocate for are like, one, I want the human trafficking law in California to be amended so that it recognizes body brokering, so that people who are being body brokered can actually access those resources if they need to or want to. Because I remember at one point I was really telling my ex-girlfriend, like, you should try to gain access to these services. And then I realized that she wouldn't even be able to, even if she did, because of how nonprofits are supposed to help certain people.
Because she wouldn't be considered a trafficking victim.
A trafficking victim, right.
Right. And so you think that these people, because they do get stuck in the rehab shuffle, and when you've been an addict for so long, you don't really have a home to go back to, a family that's waiting for you. You don't have a job. So it's either becoming homeless and being out on the streets, or having a place that maybe is profiting out of you and exploiting you, but at least it's a home with a shelter, right?
Yeah, exactly. And there's people around you, and there's always this constant manipulation going on, where somebody takes you in and they're like, oh, I care about you. I really like, and then it's like an abusive relationship over and over and over again, where the owner betrays you and they lie to your face. And it's very like interpersonal, more than people realize. And that's like something I really focus on in my book, is like, one, how like all of us know each other. Like,
wait, you're right. You're talking about your book as if people knew what that was. Okay, so tell me, you wrote a book, right?
Yes, I did. I wrote a book. It's called Brokered: A Year Inside the Web of Patient Brokering. And I kind of just go month by month, and I kind of talk about how I started to figure things out for myself, because it's almost kind of like a mystery, right? Like, you're talking to people, you hear a chunk from over here, you hear a chunk from over there, you hear a chunk over here. All of a sudden, things start in your own head putting together like puzzle pieces. And so, especially like knowing everyone, like you're at one place and you think you might not ever see this person again. A month later, you see them again. And it's like, LA is huge. So it feels, the first couple times it happens, it feels like, whoa. So, I was really trying to convince my ex, like, okay, I don't want to keep going from sober living to sober living to sober living. This is not helpful. This is a cycle. Like, I'm a pattern recognition person, obviously. So I was like, we are in a cycle. Like, we are in a pattern where we go somewhere, we get into some minor argument, and then they try to force us to go to detox, or we get drugged, or like, there's always something that happens to where they want us to go to detox. Like, whatever it is. It was a cycle where we would go because, my ex would be like, well, maybe we need some time to like reset. But I just couldn't do it anymore. I was like, look, it was getting towards fall. I was like, I really want to start school. I feel like my life is like passing me by. I'm 25 years old. Like, I felt like an immense pressure to get out and do this. And also, I had lived on my own for years. Like, I've lived on my own for years and years. So I was like, I can't live like this. So I ended up really like confiding in my mom, and it really came to a head because she wanted me. We started looking at places, and then my ex, like, we got into a fight basically, and over this, because I said, I'm not gonna go to one more sober living. I'm not gonna do it anymore. If I leave this hotel room, it's gonna be to an apartment or a room that I'm renting. She was so mad at me because she was like saying I was like abandoning her, and that I thought I was better than her, and like all this stuff. And she like almost killed me that night, like genuinely. Like, I saw all this blood on the floor. I left the hotel room that we were in with like no clothes on, almost.
Was she on drugs?
Yes. Yeah. She got really violent when she took like Xanax and stuff, like really just really violent. And so it was like that. I had stitches all up my face. I had staples in the back of my head. Like, it was super bad. And I called my mom, and my mom's like, "I'm gonna fly you home." Went and I flew home to Montana for like
Mhm.
2 weeks. My mom's a nurse, so she like,
Took care of
took
you.
care of me because I really needed it. I don't know how I could have like,
Mhm.
dealt with all that. Like a staple in the back of my head, I can't even see it.
Mhm.
And so I went home for 2 weeks, and then when I came back, my mom got me an apartment
Mhm.
in South Central, and she said, "Get a job and finish registering for school." And then that was kind of like,
Yeah, you were lucky because you did have
I
family
was
members.
very
Still, you
lucky.
had a mother that
I
still
was
wanted to
very
help
lucky,
you.
and that's why
That's
I'm
not the case
such.
for so many of other people
It's
who are
not.
going through the drug addiction. Yeah.
It's not, and that's why I'm such a proponent for give these people housing. Like, a lot of these people qualify for interim housing already. Like,
Mhm.
they would qualify like no
Mhm.
problem because they have mental health
Mhm.
issues or they have addiction
Right.
problems or whatever. That's like what gets you into interim
Mhm.
housing.
But
But they
yeah,
don't know
so
about it.
your mom got you a house. You enrolled in school,
In
right?
school right away. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
I started in spring 2024.
that's great.
And then my first semester, I founded Indigenous Scholars, which is
Mhm.
the first Native student organization at Santa Monica College. Now I run one of the biggest clubs on campus. It's
How
very,
many people?
our Instagram has like 300 something
Uh-huh.
followers. So probably around like 100-ish
Uh-huh.
Native students. And
And what do you guys do?
we like connect with culture. We do a lot of like.
And this didn't exist before you joined the school? That's
No,
crazy.
we also do like a lot of how do I say it? Like institutional change.
Uh-huh.
Like we instituted the first Native American Heritage Month. Last year we got $8,000, and it's completely planned by me and my team, and like the school just gives us what we need. Last year I secured $8,000. I think almost close to 10, including all the departments. And then this year we're gonna secure close to like
And you do
$15,000.
what with that money?
Native American Heritage Month.
Uh-huh.
So we have like book talks. This year we're gonna have Shannon Speed from UCLA
Mhm.
come. UCLA, Kyle Mays.
Uh-huh. So and it's open to all students, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, open to all the students.
Mhm.
Because there really wasn't a lot of like education in general. People are really interested to learn more about Native people, our culture.
When you're doing all of this at school and when you enrolled in school, when you started making friends, did you tell them about what you had just gone through?
Sometimes it
Uh-huh.
was really weird because, and it's still really weird today because I exist in this um
Alter universe?
Yes, I do, because a lot of people see me, and especially because I go to a transfer school, a lot of people look up to me now. I have a 3.9.
Mhm.
I serve on 2 government task forces. I do
Yeah.
research.
What are the government task forces that you're involved?
So I was appointed to the Santa Monica Land Back and Reparations Task Force.
Mhm.
I'm the youngest member of that. And then also I serve on the historical research subcommittee, the community education and events subcommittee, and then also sometimes financial
Mhm.
fundraising and
Mhm.
messaging committee.
That's great. I
Yeah,
mean, it's a whole 180 from your life before
it really is.
in the space of like a year or 2 years. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's really crazy. And the other one is the California Sober Living and Recovery
Mhm.
Task Force, which I met um Mayor Amezakua when I was testifying in Congress, and she invited me to that one.
And how many what does that involve?
That one is all lawmakers in
Mhm.
California, law enforcement, basically everyone who has stakes in body brokering, insurance people.
Is it a meeting? Is it a weekly meeting? And then
It happens about once a month or
okay,
once
monthly
every a
meeting.
month and a half.
Okay.
And it's I know there's over 100 or 200 lawmakers, city
And they're
officials.
discussing the problems
Yes.
within the rehab
Yeah.
centers here in California and how trying to figure out how to make it better.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's hopeful. Like that there's actually the government is actually trying to make this better.
Yeah. It does make me hopeful because I feel like when I first escaped, I really didn't feel like anyone cared,
Mm.
And I'm also one of main the only victims that they
Mhm.
talk to. They don't
Ho-
talk to any victims. They have
You're
a
the
lot of
only victim they
parents.
speak to?
Pretty much, yeah. From what I know, there's like a lot of parents, but a lot of parents are very disconnected. Like I understand their pain, but I don't think that parents should be the face of body brokering because they really don't know what they're
Mhm.
talking about. They have no idea what the scheme is.
Right. And the problem with speaking to some of the victims is that sometimes they're still inside
Yes.
the shuffle, right? And so
Yeah.
it makes it hard. And so you wrote a book
Over the summer, yeah.
in the middle of all this insanity and how busy you are with all your schoolwork and the committees that you're part of. You decided you wanted to write a book. And it's to remind us again what the name of the book is and where it's available.
So my book is called Brokered: A Year Inside the Web of Patient Brokering. It's available on Amazon. It's for pre-sale right now. So the official launch is January 22nd.
And what are you hoping to get with the book?
I just want people to understand like our human side as people. You know, I think a lot of people reduce us to addicts, or they reduce us to criminals,
Right.
or both.
Right, junkies, right?
Junkies, or even just
Why
like,
why
they
should we
blame
spend money
right,
with
or
these
they
people?
blame
Yeah.
us about what happened to us. Like, oh,
Right.
you like there's people who say that they're proponents against body brokering, but they tear apart everything that I say. Right? They say that I'm this or that, but it's you have to ask yourself, do you really care about body brokering victims? You know what I mean? Because none of us are perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect victim. And I think that's like what I want to talk about. And also
Basically humanizing people that are in the drug addiction.
yeah, and talking about how interconnected we were in this scheme. Like, that's why I called it the web of patient brokering, because everyone is connected. Like, people who you might think don't know each other. You might know someone and you might never have been in a rehab with them, but they took your bed after you left it and they slept in the same bed that you've slept in.
Right.
So we're so much more connected than we even realize. Being brokered by the same people, being at the same houses, people date in this scheme. I mean, I fell in love with my ex-girlfriend in this scheme. There was so much going on. And it's so weird because I wanted nothing more than to just live a normal life. And now I'm like living the opposite of that, where I have like a lot of stuff going on. And so it's weird. It's a very big shift. Like sometimes I'm like, how did I get here? Because I really just wanted to go to school, and I really wasn't planning on being like a star student of the whole school or advocate or anything. I wanted to go to school and I wanted to transfer to UCLA. And now UCLA is low-key a safe school for me, you know? And it's only been since spring 2024.
And you've been sober for how long now?
I don't even know, like over a year. I really don't count these days because I just never think about it. Like there has not been one time in the past, like since I started school, where I was like, oh, I want to go like get high. In fact, I'm like almost adverse to it now. Like,
yeah, I think that you're, unfortunately very much the exception, where for
So
you it
much.
ended up well, and hopefully it will continue well for you. But for a lot of people, it's a real struggle. And
it is.
the problem is that for a lot of people, it ends in tragedy, right? It ends with overdoses. And I think the idea that I keep thinking about is that you might think, okay, giving people some weed so they can test dirty to go to their detox program is horrible, and
Typically people use more than weed too because they want to make it worth it.
People actually, and this is something we heard again and again, is that there have been many, many cases of people actually overdosing.
They do.
And sometimes they go through detox because they were incentivized to go through detox, and then they come out, they go back to doing whatever drug they did, and they die. And that's blood on the hands of many of these providers, in my mind.
Yeah. And I actually really thank you for bringing this up, because this is one of the reasons I started speaking out. Because when I got invited to testify in Congress, which was this spring, I really didn't talk about body brokering until then. Like,
wait, you were invited to testify in Congress? I didn't even know this.
You didn't know this?
No. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so I testified in Congress, I believe it was April. It was right before I got on the Land Back and Reparations. It was right around the same time I got on the task force. So I had like a lot happening. Like I was like, wow. So Senator Tom Umberg's team called me and they were like, hey, like, actually, I think they contacted someone else first and they had gotten my number. And he was like, would you be willing to come do this? And it was funny because in my head, I'm like, I'm literally one of the only people that can do this.
And what were they asking you to do? To come and testify for
Come
what?
testify in Congress.
About what?
About a bill. I think it was SB 35 was the first one I went to. And then the second one was SB 42. And then there was another one, but that was another couple who had testified for that bill.
But this was about the rehab industry?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So you went and you told them what happened to you and your thoughts on body brokering and your rehab industry.
Yeah. And what's really interesting is that the California Sober Living Recovery Task Force said that they had to convince senators and lawmakers that this was even a thing. So my testimony was really helpful in just being like, yes, this is a thing. It's very common. It exploits people's, bodies for profit. Your health is a threat to them. They will make sure that you are not healthy or happy or whatever. They will actively discourage you from getting a job or going to school or things like that.
Right. And it's bad for all of us at the end of the day, because even if you think, who
Yep.
cares, they're just junkies,
Yeah.
unfortunately, that's how many people think. The problem is, obviously, you're not. You're a human being. It a lot of times ends in tragedy. And at the end of the day, it affects all of us. If health insurance, if there's massive health insurance fraud and Medicare fraud, it's the price of all our health or health insurance that goes up, basically.
Yeah. You know who actually is the biggest people who contribute on the Sober Living Recovery Task Force is the neighbors, because they actually have to deal with this stuff. And at first, like, I was like, oh, these neighbors, whatever. Like, I rolled my eyes. And I still do sometimes because they make themselves the victim. But I understand. I do. I understand that living next to something like that, chaotic, is traumatic, like in its own way, because you own a home, you've been successful in your life, and then now you're having to witness this, and it's like, it's very difficult. So they've done a lot of work to like center victims, but I've really helped them with that, like the SASLR task force, like, you know, just so you know, like the people who are really suffering here are the people. And I also remind them also, like, we went to rehab to get clean. Like, you, even if you do think that we're just like stupid addicts, like, we came here because we wanted to get clean at one point.
We're trying,
Yeah, we tried, and you know, it's not really most of our fault that we got tied up in this, but that was the main reason that I decided
I
to
think
do
we
it.
need more people like you. I mean, this is not easy, obviously. I mean, it's also not super safe sometimes to talk out, to speak out about people that are making millions of dollars. And
People always say that to me. They're like, "Aren't you scared to die?" I'm like, not really anymore. I mean, I'm the type of person, you could shoot me like 5 times, I'm probably gonna get up. To be honest, like, that's just my life. Like,
So anyway, I do think there should be more people like you, and I think you're
hope so.
unfortunately a rare example, and hopefully you'll be inspiration for many people out there who are struggling, and they'll listen to your story and they'll find a way. If she did it, maybe I can do it too, and you can become, you know, even with bad years and terrible experiences in your life, you can become inspirational for somebody, and an example of how you can come out the other way.
Yeah. And it's not just, I think we always talk about PTSD, but I think this whole journey has taught me, I didn't even know that post-traumatic growth was a thing. And one of my professors kind of told me about that the other day. And I was like,
What does that mean?
wow. I think that it means that you've had a lot of trauma in your life, and then um it's made you grow, like, in a weird way. Like, you have PTSD, but you also have these like superpower.
Post-traumatic growth. I like that a lot.
Yeah. I didn't know that it was a thing, really. Because I couldn't describe what had happened to me. I couldn't describe it because now my life is so different.
Right.
Even my mindset and stuff like that. And the reason why I got involved in it, and I'm not scared of my life ending, I mean, you know, whatever, is because there is a lot of people that have died. And you're right about that. And that makes me feel sometimes a lot of survivor's guilt.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sequoyah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but
Because there were people you knew personally?
a lot of people that I knew personally that are gone. And
Like friends who were in these treatment centers with you?
yeah,
And who
so many people.
died from overdoses?
So many people. Yeah. One of the things I said at Congress was death was normal. You were routinely losing people that you knew. Almost every week, my ex-girlfriend would say, this person died, this person passed away, you know, and it would be people, sometimes I knew them, sometimes I didn't, but you just kind of start getting used to it. Like, the other day on the train, I was going to school to a meeting, and behind me, I heard a loud bang, somebody hit the floor, and I turned around and it was a man who had fell out. Like, he was, and I just, it was so upsetting. I remember just like crying before I went to school, because that could be me. You know what I mean? Like,
It could have been you, yeah.
I could have been,
Right.
and I've been really lucky.
We were coming to an end, but I'd like you to explain the idea of survivor's guilt. Like, what does that mean for you?
I think, like, knowing that I was able to leave and so many people just aren't, like, they don't have the family support. Sometimes they don't even have the community support, or like they don't have the knowledge of resources around them. And some of it is just apathetic for your life.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just luck. It's just meeting somebody that
I
sort of
really
veers you in the
I
right
really
direction,
do feel like
right?
I've been very lucky.
Right.
My first professor at SMC, his name was Dr. Driscoll. Shout out Dr. D. He changed my life. Like, he's been like my mentor ever since then. And So I think about the people lost a lot, like, especially when I'm on the train, and there's always reminders of it. And I just try to think about what I can do to use my position that I have now to advocate for those people.
And you're doing that. I mean, you're doing everything you can possibly, and that's pretty special.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm trying.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for everything you do. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to see what happens next with you. I'm sure there's lots of good things happening.
Yes, I'm transferring this year, so
Good luck with that.
thank you.
UCLA, you should get this, girl.
Yeah. Or hopefully like Stanford or Berkeley or something.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Shooting real big.
You're shooting big. I like it. I like it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Sequoyah.
Thank you, Mariana.